BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello, this is Parched. Bet you can't wait to find out who I am. I must warn you though, the following episode contains strong language, adult themes, and brings an end to football's best kept secret.
Decided to call him Parched because when we were doing pre-season training, it was intense. After you've done your running or your training, go over and everyone would go for a drink. We'd look over and Parched would be sitting with the coaching staff.
Is Parched Xabi Alonso?
No comment.
Parched like...
There's one person that wanted me to categorically rule him out, and that's Joe Allen.
Is Parched James Milner?
I can confirm that James Milner is not parched.
Bum, 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 bum.
I would say Parched is not a turtle. I would say that he has certain gazelle-like attributes and is definitely a buffalo. He doesn't duck out of many headers.
Is Parched Charlie Adam?
No comment.
Bojan? Is Parched Glenn Whelan?
I can confirm that Glenn Whelan is not parched. I'm going to say Scott Parker is not parched.
Wow.
This is bigger than Who Shot Phil.
Who is Parched?
Welcome to that Peter Crouch podcast with Peter Crouch, Chris Stark and Tom Fordyce and me, Loyd Grossman. We're not in a pub today, but in our own homes. The question, who is parched, has been on everyone's lips. So I'll be back later with some clues. But for now, here are those three laddish lads.
Cheers, Lloyd. Joe's so mad for me is the fact that, like, when I used to watch Through the Keyhole and all that, I never thought in my life that Loyd Grossman would address me as Crouchy.
Buzzing now that Loyd Grossman's actually involved. But this is the one, isn't it? This is the big one. This is the one that people keep stopping me and saying, who is Parched? This is the episode where we're going to find out. It's exciting.
You've carried this burden for a while now, Crouchy. This has been going on for months. Has it been difficult?
It's been difficult. It's been hard, yeah. I think everywhere I go, I have people throwing guesses at me, and some of them, I have to say, have been correct. And it's so hard keeping the poker face.
This is worse for all those innocent footballers out there who are being accused of being parched, and they've got nothing to do with it.
It's like all great TV dramas, this thing, isn't it? It's rumbled on and on, but we are going to get a resolution today. So just to clear this up, I don't know who Parched is. You both know. And then really, Crouchy, I'm right in thinking there's just a few footballers out there that know for sure, but there's a hell of a lot more footballers that are also intrigued to know who Parched is.
I've had voicemail after voicemail of people constantly asking me who Parched is and having a guess, and this is footballers included. I've kept it, I mean, there's a select few that know, probably 3, 4, 5 players that know, and the rest of the Premier League's just been all over it. It's like Who Shot Phil?
It really is.
Right, we're going to pile into Parched in a second. First of all, Crouchy, usual question, what have you been up to?
I've been homeschooling my children this week. I tried to get across that maths was void. I was told in no uncertain terms that by Abby that it's actually not void. Well, I'll tell you what though, PE was awesome. We did lots of athletics. There was football. There was trampolining.
Did you do anything else other than sport, or?
Yeah, we delved into the Normans, delved into what they were up to, the castles, bits and pieces like that. They originated from Scandinavia and they came over just after 1066 and settled in Normandy in France. They built some incredible castles with moats around them and mottes and baileys, which just basically were the soldiers' settlements just behind the moat. So they were the first line of defence if anyone sort of attacked the castle.
So what's the difference between a mott and a bailey, just to clarify this?
So a mott is like the giant hill on top where the castle rests. The bailey is the settlement of soldiers just in front of the moat.
Crouchy, this is blowing my mind. I never thought this day would come.
So was John Motson named after a mott?
John Motson was named after a giant mound that protects a castle.
Boys, I feel like we've moved well away from the main topic of today, which is Parched, reveal Parched, announce Parched. It's all over social media. And that's what this episode is going to be, right, Crouchy?
It is. I just need to get it off my chest, really. I've had voicemail after voicemail, text messages, tweets, but my voicemail's jam-packed, and as you know, I don't listen to them. But I'm sure we could play a few.
Go on, let's hear them.
You have 12 new messages. First new message.
Big man, it's the gaffer. this shutdown, mate, as everyone's hopefully going to come through it well, but besides that, it's doing me head in. What's doing me head in more is this idea of who is Parched. Seriously, big man, you just got to let us know, bruv. It's absolutely driving me mad. Just tell us, because I know there's loads of bizwad players out there who come sucking up, so I know the script, but just tell us, big man.
Did Sean Dyche call you bruv at one point?
He did, yeah.
I just wouldn't expect that from him. He doesn't strike me as a bruv type.
Listen, as a football manager, you have to adapt.
Yeah.
And bruv is strong in the Premier League dressing room. You have to evolve.
I love that he's fussed about who is Parched.
Chris, I could go all day, mate, honestly. I've been inundated. Here's another.
You have 11 new messages. First new message.
All right, P. It's Jeff here. How are you, mate? I'm just wondering, who's this Parched fella? I've been racking my brains. You haven't got a clue. Think of something, tell us who it is, mate. I'll see you soon. Ta-da.
That's Amstad. Amstad's all over it. He's like, seriously, I need to know. Every day he calls me. I haven't told him.
Who's been ruled out so far?
There's only a few names that have gone. JJ's been ruled out, hasn't he?
Genus has gone.
JJ ruled himself out. He was getting a lot of grief.
Joe Allen, Milner, he's not Parched. Although it was a good shout, I thought.
A lot of people putting money on Milner.
Glenn Whelan, have I told you this, by the way? Glenn Whelan got in touch with me. Crouchy, he calls you Feeta. He was like, tell Feeta that I'm insulted. You would even suggest I'm Parched.
This nickname, Chris, goes back to a time where Crouchy and his teammates went to a particular part of the globe where they felt people were unable to pronounce the letter P.
Is that true?
Yeah, there was a particular pre-season we were on where pretty much everywhere we went, can we have a selfie? It was every single one of them had a countdown. It was 3, 2, 1, selfie. And it was every time. Everywhere we went, people were calling me Feeta. And it just stuck. And quite a few of the boys still call me it from Stoke, Feeta.
It does feel like a very special podcast, this, the reveal of Parched. And everyone's piling in. You've got footballer mates that are contacting you, but also the people that listen to this podcast and some of the ambassadors really want to know who Parched is. So we got this message from one of our ambassadors called Will.
Oh, hello there. I'm Will, the ambassador for graduates from Nottingham, and I think Jonathan Woodgate is Parched.
Yeah, this is a name I've seen loads on social media. Kai, Dom, Jamie, Aaron, Tom, Sean, and Oliver also guessed that it was Jonathan Woodgate.
He's now a manager, which indicates that he would have wanted to spend some time talking to managers.
Yeah. He was always a captain, wasn't he? He was very much sort of Parched-like.
Parched-like.
But he's not Parched.
Rootsy says, is Parched Jermaine Defoe? Every video of him I see in training, he stood around having a drink. Crouchy, yes or no?
No.
Okay, Dave thinks that Parched is, quote, Stephen Ireland, he looks like a brown noser.
Looks like a brown noser.
Is he a brown noser? Yes, I'll take that
Possibly.
as a yes.
It's not Stephen Ireland.
This one from Wilson, who says, is Jamie Carragher Parched? Now, this is a popular guess, this one.
Yeah, of course he was a football man. Of course he would get on with someone like Rafa because that was all he talked about was football, and Carragher was obviously ultimately as passionate as him. But I can confirm that Carragher is not Parched.
Would Carragher ever disagree with the manager? The man who is Parched, it sounds like, would never ever contradict the manager.
Yeah, I think you're along the right lines there.
Parched, for me, I sort of imagine a kind of Will from the In-Betweeners style character. Is that fair?
Will from the In-Betweeners is wrong because he's good fun. The lads like him. It's a great laugh. But he had Parched-like tendencies.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then, right? You know how Gerrard could stand up to the management because he had the respect of the management. But when Will from the In-Betweeners goes up to Mr. Gilbert has no respect for Will from the In-Betweeners, doesn't want to hear it. Is that the same with Parched? Like, if Parched ever did stand up to the management, they weren't really having any of it.
Well, the thing is with Parched is it's chalk or cheese. It's a love-hate relationship with all the managers that I've seen him work with. So they either absolutely love him.
I've got to stop you there. So you've seen him with various different managers.
I've been around a lot. I know people in various dressing rooms, and I know various managers. You know, I'm at the age where I know managers now as well. So people talk, you know what I mean, in Premier League dressing rooms. But 100%, Parched is a Marmite character. He's happy with that. He would tell you straight now, if he was here now, he would say, you either love me or you don't.
It's amazing, this. It's like one of these kind of murder mysteries at the moment. I'm just trying to pick up any little clue. I thought I'd do a little bit of digging this week as well. So I sent messages out to a few Watford players. None of them got back to me, except for Ben Foster, who it turns out is a massive fan of this podcast.
Does he think he's the best goalkeeper in the league?
Well, I tell him he's the best goalkeeper in the league.
Hi everyone, Ben Foster here, Starkey's favourite Premier League goalkeeper. Love you too, mate. I think I've figured out who Parched is. I've been talking to my mates, and even though this guy was mentioned, he's never been ruled out. And I think you've done yourself here, Crouchy. You've done yourself. So I think Parched is Michael Dawson.
Dawson has massive Parched-like behaviour.
There is some Parched-like behaviour there.
Parched-like.
And he's one I didn't want to rule out because I thought it's a bit of a red herring. Very Parched-like, but he's not Parched.
Could he be, from the sound of it, he's very close to being Parched. Could he be Parched too?
There's elements to Michael Dawson that are very Parched-like. Close to the manager, captain's material, but I've ruled him out, not Parched.
I think it's fair to say he probably has a brown nose. What do you reckon, Crouchy? The old nose up the manager's arsehole there. Okay, here's a question. Out of all the managers, right, whose arsehole has Dawson's nose been most sort of involved with?
This is horrible for me because Michael Dawson's like a hero. But I reckon as we sort of progressed throughout his career, possibly when he sort of went to Nottingham Forest, that was where I think he started. I imagine it became browner there.
I've got to get this out of my system right now, but Tom, I can't get away from the fact that I'm looking at you on FaceTime right now. The way you're holding your microphone, the angle where it's at, it looks like how I imagine you give blowjobs. It's really throwing me.
It's nice that
it's
you
hard
picture me
not
giving
to,
blowjobs.
just because the camera's angled up at your face.
He's gone full Dirty Den there, isn't he?
It's just very unusual.
We should explain that we are watching each other on FaceTime or WhatsApp or something, aren't we? And it's a little bit weird for us. We've all got drinks. Chris, you've got a drink, haven't you? Crouch, you've got a beer?
Yeah.
I've gone from one of my classic English ales. Look, can you see that on the screen? It's quite nice.
Since I met you, Crouchy, I've started getting really into Guinness. It's a funny one. I was always just lager, but now I'm into my Guinness.
Have you got a favourite glass, Chris? Is that the one you always reach for? Because I find when I get a cup of tea, there's a lot of mugs here. There's two or three that I always go for. There's something about them I just like. Maybe it's my Wednesday mug with the old Owls logo, or maybe it's a Beatles one, but you always go for the same one, don't you?
Yeah, humans are creatures of routine generally, right? Which is why you then end up in odd situations where, I don't know if you boys have this, I saw this discussion popping off on Twitter recently, but what is your favourite hob? Now, before Radio 4 start criticising us for this low-level content, everyone does have one. It's a weird one, isn't it?
Love bottom right. I did eggs on bottom right.
It's nice, isn't it? It's just weird. It's funny how it plays out. You can have a favourite hob.
Why front right, Crouchy? Is it something to do? Because for me, it's not just about the placement of the hob or where it is. It's the size of the flame as well. Because you don't want a whopper, you don't want a wok setting, but you don't want a little tiny kid's saucepan one, do you?
I like an aggressive flame because you can always dim. If it's intense, you can always scale back. If it's weak, you can't, there's no scaling up from there. My
one's just one of them induction ones, the pan goes on, it sort of just works itself out.
Cannot stand
Why?
them. My first flat in Portsmouth had one of them. I just could not get the thing to work. So I was constantly I just realised that you have to put the pan on it for it to be on. So I was turning it on, I was putting my whole hand on it and going, this broke. So I called the kitchen guy out, 2 weeks of takeaways, called the kitchen guy out, and he just put the pan on it and it went on.
So ever since then, you've resented that particular style hob.
Yeah, because it made me look stupid.
Yeah.
Crouch has done the robot again because it's 100 Premier League goals for Peter Crouch.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
You have 10 new messages. First new message.
Crouchy, my man, it's Sergio. Listen, you're killing me with this Parched business. I've been racking. I can't see anymore. It's just been going round and round. I've got it down to 3. I've got Robert Projanetsky, Dirk Kuyt, or Ryan Shawcross. Is it one of these 3, brother? Let me know. I'm parched thinking about it, man.
These are ridiculous. These are just so stupid.
Let's go through these one by one. Robert Projanecki.
Oh, it's such a belter, honestly. Absolutely
Famous smoker, one of the great smoking footballers, played with him at Portsmouth first time around, absolute maverick.
Serge is all over him because he's like a rock and roll footballer, isn't he? He's not parched, he's far from it.
Let's go through the other suggestions as well. So Dirk Kuyt. My perception of him was always sort of relatively softly spoken, polite, nice. I don't want to say a do-gooder, but he sort of struck me as that kind of person. Does that share the qualities of the Parched that you know, Crouch?
I'm assuming you don't know Dirk Kuyt.
No, of course not.
Yeah. But isn't it funny that you just sort of build an opinion on someone's character by how they play, and a couple of interviews afterwards, you've just got him down as a do-gooder.
It's true.
Only because he works quite hard on a football pitch, which is what all players should do, really. So there are parched-like tendencies, but again, not parched.
It's a bit like you've got your rock star footballers, right? Top shaggers. And then you've got pure, bring home to your parents style footballers. Dirk strikes me as that kind of person. You know, would be so good with mums. Wouldn't have sex until a relatively large number of dates in, or indeed marriage. Is that fair to say?
You're going down the Theo Walcott route. I get that. You'd love to introduce him to your family. Dirk, the same. My daughter, I think it'd be slightly strange now at the moment, but if possibly, I'm talking. If they were on the same they were on the same age bracket. A Dirk Kuyt, a Theo Walcott. That'd be great.
Should we have another voicemail from you, Crouchy?
You have 10 new messages. First new message.
Yo, big man. Who parched this? Is it Steve Finnan? Is it?
So who is this?
That's one of my favourites. That Pepe Reina. Pepe Reina. Yeah. Honestly,
who parched this?
Right, that's it though. That's what should be on the t-shirts. It's not who is parched. It's who parched is. Who
parched is? Big man.
That's what we should have gone with the whole series.
Man. It's unreal. Big man. Who parched is?
You have 9 new messages. First new message.
Hi guys, Lucy Benjamin here. Now I shot Phil Mitchell in EastEnders back in 2001, so I know a thing or two about keeping people guessing. Right, for the last few months, everyone has been talking about Parched. It's been bothering me for ages, but I think I've cracked it. Parched is Xabi Alonso. It's got to be him.
That's amazing.
Crouchy.
It's no.
Matthew has asked, Peter, is Parched Jack Butland?
Oh, that's a big shout. A young Parched in the making.
Jack Butland is Parched Junior, but he's not Parched Senior. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, he's not Parched.
Okay, Parched Junior. Yeah, I like this idea.
Yeah, just a potential sort of... This is difficult.
You're really struggling, right? I think right now you need to explain why you're struggling. Are you worried that the fact that Parched is getting revealed today, is this causing you stress?
It's quite stressful. I want it off my chest, but I don't want to be that person to be taking people down with me. Although it's sort of very funny.
No, it's a big dilemma. I do understand your dilemma. Maybe what we've got to do is just focus on the characteristics that make Parched.
Like if I had to say to you, Radio 1, right, who's Parched?
I'd go Matt Edmondson.
Why?
So here's what he does at the Christmas party, right? So he doesn't drink. What he does, he turns up at the party, then he walks around the room, obviously completely sober, and he won't be in there for longer than 10 minutes. And what he does is he goes and gets in as many photos as possible. So he'll go up with loads of stuff. So on Facebook, it will look like he's been out with all the staff and everything like that.
Time of life, yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, I know these people well. You know, the people that sit there and do absolutely nothing and then switch on a huge grin and get loads of people round them. Absolutely nil banter whatsoever. and having no fun. And then all of a sudden, camera comes out. It's like, let's Instagram this with all my pals. We're all having the time of our lives. And
We'll have more from Peter Crouch on the ills of the modern world next week.
I've got more on this, right? You know what I do now when I go out for meals and stuff like that with my pals? We put our phones in the middle. The first one to touch it pays the bill for everyone. You know, converse. Let's talk.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Chris, I feel like we're getting a little bit closer, but not that warm. Crouchy, anything you can do to help him out? Any clues?
Let's just leave it to Loyd.
Welcome to the House of Parched. As I enter, the first thing I notice is a big picture of animals in the wild. It indicates that this player is a buffalo with gazelle-like qualities, but most importantly, likes to drink as often as a camel. You won't be seeing him at an Alberoni after a game. If we go over here to Parched's trophy cabinet, you'll notice he has won the same amount of major trophies as Crouchy. One for you to think about, Chris. Who lives in a house like this?
This is ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. Loyd Grossman's just discussing Parched.
He's also gone fully back into through the keyhole mode, which he probably hasn't done for about 30 years. We come over here
So
to
funny.
Parched trophy cabinet.
Boys, going back to Loyd Grossman then, do you boys rate him as a chef? Because you just don't see him cook, do you, that man? You see him on the front of jars,
No,
but you don't see him cook.
This is my George Foreman kind of vibe. Put his name to something. Can you see George Foreman grilling stuff, really? Lloyd's gone down that route, hasn't he? He's gone, yeah, throw my name on it, no worries. And then it's done really well and he's started chefing himself off.
Listen, boys, we had a message from Bossman Daz. Bossman Daz says, I'm thinking Parched is Luka Modric.
He seems to me, right, he always comes across a bit of a meek character.
Why would you say meek?
I don't know, he's just like, he looks a little bit sort of small, mouse-like features and kind of...
Do you want a great Luka Modric fact, Chris? When he was a child, Luka Modric used to shepherd goats.
Yeah, there you go.
He was a little goat herd, Luka Modric.
Was he really?
So
Yeah.
he must be arguably the greatest shepherd at football ever.
Every Croatian that I've played with, I've absolutely loved. The three we had, Nico Kranjčar, Vedran Luka and Luka Modric, and we used to call them the Croatian Mafia, and they were all top lads. You know, I've had some great times with those boys. They were great.
More messages from our listeners, boys. Sam wants to know, is Van der Vaart parched?
Someone asked me recently my favourite partner to play with out of anyone that I've played with, and I would say him. We had a good connection, but no Parched.
Listen, here's a very popular one, and I think Danny speaks for a lot of people. Danny has emailed us to say, I've done some recon through the old podcasts. I'm pretty sure I've figured it out. If it's not Matty Etherington, I'll bake my socks into a pie and eat them.
I remember with Matty, it was probably a little bit more special than with me. And he used to give him like a big coat. Just say, don't train today, you're too important.
A big coat?
And
What?
Just give him
What
a
are you
big
on about?
coat. Literally give him a big coat and let him just watch training.
Because it was too important.
He was
to
too important.
Train.
He was too important.
bet you were fine with that, weren't you, the rest of you?
Oh, he got abused.
That could turn someone parchy, couldn't it?
Inadvertently parched, but he's not parched.
Cratchy, I've been enjoying your voicemails tonight. Can you give us another one?
Yeah, no, I'll bang another. As you know, I don't listen to them, but we'll just bang another on.
You have 8 new messages. First new message.
Hello, mate. It's me. This geezer Parched. I'm going to take a wild guess. I've listened to a few of your people that you've mentioned, and Darren Fletcher, my old teammate, I think has got to be in with a shout at being the man we're looking for. So I'm going to go for Fletch, and we'll see where we get, man. See you later, guys.
So that was Rio Ferdinand on your voicemail.
As Rio. Every time I see him, he's asking me who Parched is.
So you played with Darren Fletcher at Stoke. When he was at United, I always thought he was a bit more of a teacher's pet.
It's a strong shout. And listen, Rio's played with him, been in the dressing room with him. He thinks he has Parched-like tendencies, and he thinks that I completely get the guess, but it's just not right.
There's quite a famous Rio quote about Darren Fletcher. I'm going to read it to you. He says, Darren Fletcher was Sir Alex Ferguson's pet. He was round the house for Sunday lunch, and Fletch never got a bollocking, ever.
Oh.
Very, very parchy.
It's Parchy, isn't it? That is Parchy.
So, Crouchy, I think we need another clue for Chris. He's struggling here, isn't he?
Yeah, this player, bizarrely enough, has actually done one of my celebrations. He's actually performed the robot over one of the best goals I've ever seen.
No way. What, as a homage to you?
Believe it or not, I was on the bench at the time. The robot was performed in front of me.
Okay, yeah.
Badly, may I add.
All right.
Chris, I'm going to help you out here as well. We've got a message from another Chris, and this Chris asks, is Glenn Johnson parched? I get the feeling Crouchy would only get away with a parched reveal if it was his mate.
Ah, yeah. Good shout. I love the thinking there. But no parched. This fella will hear it. He's British. That's another big clue.
Wow. So British has scored some absolute worldy goal, performed the robot, has the same amount of trophies as you.
A message from Rushy. Rushy says, is parched Dean Whitehead?
Right, well, we're on the right lines here. Fantastic player, great lad, not parched.
Message from Jonathan. I'm thinking parched is Gareth Barry.
A game manager's dream, not parched.
Also, was he a secret maverick off the pitch?
There's a couple of instances at Villa where myself, Lee Hendry and Gareth Barry would be out, and Graham Taylor, who was a top man, and he pulled myself and Lee in. There have been a couple of stories of us being out in the town, and why can't it be more like Gareth? I was like, I wanted to say, obviously, he was fucking with us, but I couldn't roll him under the bus. I was like, yeah, I need to.
Wow. Okay, so that's a big one gone, because a few people have suggested that.
Okay, Stephen says Tom Huddleston is definitely parched. Look at the thirst on his face.
No, couldn't be further from the truth.
Oh,
do you think you've got it?
I have a strong suspicion.
Okay, 3 questions. First question, Crouch, you can only give you a yes or no answer.
Has Parched played international football?
Yes.
Is Parched in a non-attacking role?
Parched enjoys playing an attacking role.
No, so it's not who I'm thinking. That's a nightmare.
Listen carefully at what Crouchy said there.
Yeah, but that doesn't match with who I'm thinking, Tom. That doesn't help me. This is.
He's genuinely in
foxed.
bits. He's foxed.
Okay. Did Parched play for England?
No.
No. Right. Okay.
Chris Stark, your moment is now. After all this intrigue, after weeks of wondering, who do you think Parched is?
What if he gets it?
It really ruins it.
It doesn't make any sense, this, because
I think we forgot we're actually recording a podcast.
It doesn't make any sense, because quickly now in my head, on the Guess Who board, going through Scottish players, Welsh players, it's not Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale is not Parched.
Is that your guess?
Don't try and rule people out. Is that your guess?
But he's won more trophies, so it can't be Bale.
Oh, it's tense, isn't it?
Chris, I got to push you. Who is your guess for Parched?
Oh, what about... okay, I'm going to throw Craig Bellamy out there. I'm a couple of pints in now and I'm stressed, and that's all I can reach for.
Peter Crouch, is Parched Craig Bellamy?
I can confirm that Craig Bellamy is not parched.
Oh,
Chrissy.
Well, that's...
I've had enough of this now. I'm going to bell Parched. I'm getting him up.
Parch the pod.
Parched, right, son?
How are you, son? It's me, Charlie Adam.
Oh, it's so obvious.
What do you mean it's so obvious?
Oh, sorry, Parch. So am I right in thinking you've only recently found out that you are parched?
Yeah, the only reason I found out is because some guy at Reading came up to me, some groundsman or something, and he said to me, "Who's parched?" And I went, "What?" He went, "Yeah, who's parched on Crouch's podcast?" I went, "I don't have a clue, mate. You're talking shite, whatever it is." "I think it's you." I says, "Well, definitely not me."
It's you.
So nothing's going on about it. And then my mate texts me saying, "You know you're even money for this Parch on Crouch's podcast." I says, what? I says, even money? I said, let me text Crouchy, see what it is. So I'm on the phone, I text Crouchy. I said, listen, big man, what is this Parched about? Like, people keep asking me. He went, well, there's good and bad news.
I can't believe that you didn't know that.
No, I never knew. In 7-8 years I was at Stoke and you were caning me behind me.
That's not true.
I didn't have a clue. And then now I'm actually paranoid in my head about it.
You have to admit.
And I was just learning the game. And when I become a manager, I understand what it's all about.
We're all sitting there having a drink and someone said, has anyone seen Char have a drink yet? And we said no. And then it happened on more than one occasion.
I was actually asking questions about like training But now since you've told me it is, I'm paranoid. Now I'm having a drink every time the lads are having a drink. I know I'm staying away from the gaffer and all that. No,
don't like to hear that.
It's like the Masked Singer. Parched is out there. I worry that people are going to shout at you in the streets.
Right, so basically it's an arse licker, isn't it? That's what By the way, I've still got half a season to go and another season after this. I could be getting slaughtered for fans.
Charlie, we should say thank you so much for agreeing to come on and entertain us, because your life's changed now. Everyone's going to be calling you Parched. Are you pleased that you've come onto the podcast and sort of admitted this?
It's an honour that I've been invited onto this. It is disappointing that I've been called Parched from ex-teammates, but that'll probably stick with me for the rest of my career.
Oh, no.
It's amazing. We now know who Parched is.
Cheers, Charlie.
Cheers, Charles.
Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, bye.
Take it easy. See you later.
Cheers. Bye.
So that is our final episode of Series 3, boys. I can't believe it's over already.
I just feel like Parched sort of took over the entire series by the end, didn't it? But honestly, some of the funniest bits and pieces in this series.
It's been fun. It's been really good fun. I guess it's all great finding out who Parched is, but obviously with everything going on around the world right now, it's probably ended in a slightly different way to how we expected. But I think everyone gets that. And by the way, have you noticed how much back stronger has been just a term that's used in absolutely everything? Not even just sport. I'm seeing it on the news. I'm seeing it all the time. It's crazy.
You can't move for back stronger.
We'll be back stronger. Hang on a minute, boys. Hang on a minute. Got one more voicemail.
You have 7 new messages. First new message.
Pete, seriously, if I hear who is Parched again, everyone knows it's Charlie Adam. If this keeps going on, I'm just going to go on my Instagram and say, everyone, it's Charlie Adam. I'm going to go on Twitter and say, it's Charlie Adam. No one cares who Parched is. It's just you and your 2 little silly mates doing this silly podcast talking about Charlie Adam and Parched. I'm just going to tell everyone it's Charlie Adam.
She's had enough.
It's you and your 2 silly mates.
I think that sums up the podcast in its entirety.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.